Welcome to this week's episode of Three Keys in a Pie podcast. Right back at you like we lost something. You here with Trinity Team, the homie Mike Lowry, and the lovely
Right.
C Love.
Hi.
So we just gonna jump right into it, man, because it's been a crazy week. Um, First thing on the menu, Mr. Charleston White. I know he's the king of social media, but his
Man.
comment about people going back into slavery, for good purposes, I want to know what y'all think about it, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it.
I'll go first. Yeah, I think in a sense he does have a point as to helping people of color getting back in line. I don't think everyone's born with a criminal mentality. I
Mhm.
think a lot of that does come from poverty and just the way their upbringing is. I think that would eliminate a lot of crime that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't necessarily say everyone has to go into the system or anything like that. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like if I don't know, I guess I'm really opposed not to the whole prison life because somebody close to me was in prison for a long time. I just feel like there's different avenues. I think we need to look at different scenarios as to age when you do commit the crime and things like that, and just kind of look more into your background and see what I guess we can help with as a society. Because I think that's what creates a lot of criminal minds. I feel like if maybe we were in a different setting, or maybe if we had role models, these young kids committing crime wouldn't do that. Um, but yeah, I think the system is rigged. So I don't think everyone in prison is even supposed to be in there. Just stuff like that. So I think you just gotta look at it at different aspects and see what the situation is at hand before we decide to throw somebody in prison.
All right. Me too. Yeah. Yeah. She mentioned what I was gonna say,
Mhm.
cause he mentioned, the only way to where they can act right is send them back to the 1800s. But that's not gonna do any good. Like how I feel is like she said, poverty, and it's also like the environment you're in. Also, what I spoke about a couple weeks ago, which like the music,
Mhm.
all that leads to the factor of how they're acting in today's world. You know, so that is what needs to be changed. Now going back to slavery, they ain't gonna do nothing, that's like traumatized, you know what I'm saying? And then he also mentioned how those you know, who like in the military, how they come back all crazy. Well, yeah, they have TD, female
Right.
violence and all the stuff. And then he also mentioned how those who are in the jail and how they come out all Muslim and all educated. Well, yeah, because they're just like getting a whooping. Like you don't you don't change until you are disciplined, and then you can finally see, okay, I need to not do this because when you are in jail, you have no freedom, So would you rather do something to be in jail, or do you want to live a good life to where you can explore the world and see everything outside? You know what I'm saying? So it
Mhm.
all depends on the life that you choose, which also goes back to the environment and that mindset that you're in, to what you're doing to, have that effect of your life. You know, because who wants to go to jail?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So would you rather go to jail, or would you rather have a good life, explore the world, make
Or do
money,
like
have
this
a family?
program. Be like you rather go to jail or I don't know, shit, go to school. Like something that's gonna benefit people in life, not
Yes,
just
right.
have them waste their time. Like I get it, murder, things like that, okay. But I saw this documentary yesterday where this kid happened to be my brother's friend, on Netflix. And no, it was on Prime. He went to prison for a crime he did when he was 15 years old. He's
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
been in prison for 26 years. Killed a couple, a mom. The father survived. So father, went to church, went to the prison, forgave the guy, told him, I forgive you. I no longer have hate against you and things like that. They still don't let this man home. He's a grown man now, in his 40s, still in prison for something he did when he was 15.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like stuff like that. It's just like, aren't these facilities supposed to rehabilitate, you know, people?
But it
And
also depends on the sentence. So let's say the sentence
he
was a
got a life
life
sentence.
sentence. Right.
In
So
the state.
life means life. Like you're not coming home unless you die out or you get clemency to say, let's move this life to 60 years or 50 years. And then you go up for a parole board ever or a clemency board ever so often to see if you can get leniency. But life means life.
Yeah, but I don't think they should do that. Not at 15. At 15, you're still a child. You still don't know better.
Mm-hmm. It's the
It was his
mindset,
girlfriend
yeah.
who planned it. She was the one who put it in his head to kill her parents.
Did
Cause
she get time too?
And where she at? Yeah, where she
yeah,
right
she's in
now?
prison too.
Okay.
Later on, once he went to court and stuff like that, he told them, she's the one who told me to do it. Like he was in love with her and whatnot. But she got a life sentence too.
Okay.
But yeah, and for that reason, that's why I'm like, okay, he shouldn't be in there. Obviously, he was manipulated. This is a 15-year-old kid. I can't even. My son is 13, so I can't even imagine. My son is not. You know what I mean? 2 years from now, he's still not going to be in the right set of mind to say this is going to ruin my life or whatnot. Like as kids, you don't have the capability to make those type of decisions. So
Because
I
Mm-hmm.
kids
don't think
act
as
off of,
adults we should
yeah.
give a kid sentences like that.
But kids acts off sensationalism, like bro was saying, the music, the movies, they caught up in a moment. So when they caught up in a moment, that's what they gonna act on. So same way if they 17, 18, you of college age, but if you go to college, the reason I agree with Charleston White, if you go to college, like out the gate, not everybody, but let's go to a typical HBCU. So you could pick one. You could go to Prairie View, Southern, Grambling, whatever, and you find these kids from inner cities, and most of them, and it may just be the culture, but they mimicking like the thug culture versus someone who been to prison who come home. The last thing that he want to emulate is a thug. He want to be a nerd, so he want to go to jail. He want to, I mean, go to college. He want to stay out of trouble. Versus the other one want like a hard look, but the guy that
Mm-hmm.
been through that, he don't want that. He wants something totally different. So I
All
get
right.
it.
Yeah, it's like what it's like what she said last time. Like you got a bump on your head in order to learn better. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
you know, you're telling them up front, but they ain't gonna listen to you until they actually see what they're into and say, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I don't want this life, so I'm gonna change myself, for the better. So that's
Mhm.
how that's just human mistake. That's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so speaking of which, we're gonna talk about bumping our head because a lot of people think that the next guy is a total lunatic. Kanye West doing an interview in a black KKK outfit.
He
What are
crazy
y'all
for that.
thoughts on that?
He crazy. If you wearing that outfit as a black person, you crazy. I'm gonna say it off top.
Yeah.
But you don't think it was for like attention, like to
Well,
get the people to listen to what he was saying?
well, yeah, everything he do is for attention. That's how I look at Kanye West. He's trying to grab attention. But what he mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was talking more of the music industry, how
Hmm.
like black wild people,
Right.
and I was saying about how Kendrick Lamar he do got records. Like don't do him
How he's
like that.
like a nobody or something like that.
Yeah,
He's
like
small in the industry, boy, like.
yeah. When he said they kind of threw me off, I'm like yeah. He just asking for attention. But I get where he was going, which is a valid.
Mhm.
But using Kendrick Lamar as an example, no.
Was terrible.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
bro, what he was saying now, bro, you can't lie. We talking Drake. Drake got way more hits than Kendrick.
that's
That's what he
fine.
said. He's
Yeah,
saying like the party, the up tempo. Other than they not like us, was anybody else out there singing a Kendrick song?
yeah,
Sure
that's
was.
fine.
Look,
Yeah,
I
Nah,
sure was.
exactly.
I had that TV on high volume. Sure was.
Exactly. That's what everybody watched the Super
Baby,
Bowl
I
for
still do
that
little scissors
one.
dance. Hey.
Yeah, but yeah, he
I
was
think I
crazy
don't think
doing that.
that's true because we haven't had, Shakira is not small, Jennifer Lopez is not a small artist.
Hmm.
When we did the whole Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, that was epic. They're not small
Hmm.
artists,
Yeah.
like, so no, what he said was straight stupidity.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Beyonce, she's done the Super Bowl before too. So has Michael Jackson. If we want to go way back in time,
Right.
like, come on
Hmm.
now. Stop playing yourself.
Yeah.
You just mad because you haven't done the Super Bowl, along
Right.
with every other artist who hasn't done it. They want to talk trash when they're not selected. So
Right. Bro,
he's
quick
just hating.
question. Right. Quick question. Did
I
you
got
mention
you.
something last week that he said something about Jay-Z kids, Beyonce kids?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said he said Jay-Z and Beyonce had retarded kids. Don't
See,
block me, YouTube.
attention.
Kanye said it, not us.
See, that's what I mean, attention.
Yeah. For intention,
He
because
said,
he said something about insemination or something like that, but that's what they did when they used a surrogate for his kids.
mm-hmm.
He was like, "This is why we don't use, like, I think he said, yeah, IVF or insemination or something like that." But y'all did it for three of your kids, so make it make sense, bro.
I'm telling you, ever since he lost his mom, he went crazy.
Yeah, I
Sometimes
think
he
he's
was talking
just he
nonsense.
wants a moment, and he's just saying whatever right now.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I don't think he really. I think he's sane, and I think he pretends to be crazy to get people to listen. That's what I think.
probably, but I don't listen to his ass. I put him right on mute.
Me either. I don't even click on it. I'm like,
Like, yep, scroll over to the next post.
right.
Next article.
Now on to a more serious subject. I don't know if you guys saw this, right, with the kid. I think it was at a track meet,
Yeah,
and they
Frisco,
tried.
Texas.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What are your tell me the entire story. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I haven't really been reading the articles, and this is why,
Hmm.
because there are people who are posting fake articles about it,
Okay.
and so I just been refraining to say anything until I see the actual details and what's going on. But from what I've seen is, the dude was at the track meet. He run track,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
And he was under the wrong tent, and one of the twins, there was some twin brothers. One of the twins was telling him to get up, whatever,
Hmm.
and he was like, "Make me," and it was something like he was being bullied.
Right. That's what I
So
think too.
yeah, so he had a knife, and he he stabbed one of them to death. So
Well, they
what they're
said that the
doing
little
is,
white kid took his backpack, like he was sitting on the bleachers,
I heard that too.
and supposedly him, and not only him, mind you, he had a twin brother that was there. And
Hmm.
Hmm.
so there's just, this one kid at the track meet by himself. And so he's approached by them, and they're telling him to move. And then it said that they had, like, took his backpack from him, they broke his cell phone, basically like picking on him.
Hmm.
So I guess he felt the need to have to defend himself back. And
Hmm.
so he grabbed the knife in his backpack to defend himself, and then ended up like stabbing him in one of his like major like arteries or something like that. Um, yeah, I don't think that's happened. I don't think it's the first time. Like, for him to know to take a knife. Like, my kid's not walking around with a knife in his pocket.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah, he
like for him
probably
to be
he
walking
probably have
around
been
with a
getting
knife in
picked
his
on.
pocket. Yeah, he's definitely been picked on before, if not by them, by a similar situation, because they're in Frisco. He's not the same color as them, let's be real.
Yep, and
And
it's a
so
town.
it's
Yep.
just like, yeah, and there's some kids that are raised to be, racist like that too, because it's like,
Hmm.
what's it to you that he's sitting over there? You don't
Hmm.
Right.
own those bleachers. This isn't your field.
Exactly. You're
So,
entitled.
yeah, so then they go on the media, and they cry wolf. Granted, the kid should have lost his life, but we have to teach our
Hmm.
kids to leave other kids alone. Let's not bully, like, he ain't bothering y'all, leave him alone.
Yep. And that's one thing that I hate about the media. Like they get mad. They saying like, okay, he shouldn't have the knife, and that can say he shouldn't have that. But you can't be bullying people because what if the roles was reversed? What if because obviously nowadays kids who are being bullied, they kill themselves.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what if that happened? And then what would have happened? You know what I'm saying? So you have to stop that. You have to teach your
Mhm.
kids to not bully people. Like my son, I teach him, do not pick on nobody. Only time you
Mhm.
need to fight is if they pick on you. But
Mhm.
don't go starting no mess. That's how I teach my son. But most people are raised different, just like she said, especially
And
in
I
that
yeah, and I
type of
keep it
town.
real with mine because he's 13, and I'm like, baby, it's easier to fight a self defense case than a straight murder case.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you wait till they hit you first, and if they're not hitting you first, you turn around and you walk away. I
Mm-hmm.
remember one time when he was little, he was like, "Oh, so and so said this about you," and I'm like, "Well, is it true? Am I like that? Does he even know me?" And he's like, "No." I said, "Okay, then don't worry about what people say."
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they start putting their hands on you, knock their ass out,
Right.
Different
you
story.
know?
Yeah.
But, until then, like, no. And then I also tell him, like, if you see somebody smaller than you getting bullied, you go and you defend him. Either you diffuse the situation or, you do something about it. You don't let nobody get bullied, either. Because I had a lot of friends like that when I was growing up. Um,
Right.
so, yeah, I don't know. It's something you got to teach your kids. I feel
Well,
like,
some kids are a product of their home too. Not saying that is right, but let's say they home
right.
and they daddy putting hands on them, and all they see is they daddy beating their mama and beating them. Then they gonna be an expression when they get out. And again, not saying that is right, but kids are
Hmm.
usually a reflection of what goes on inside the home.
Right.
And
Hmm.
that started in like junior high, and then by high school, everybody got their little cliques and they do
Right.
what they do. But yeah, but you still gotta teach them, like you said, defend yourself. One, don't pick on nobody, but
Mm-hmm.
two, don't definitely let nobody pick on you. But words, we could
Hmm.
disregard that. But they
Right.
put your hands on you, then yeah, make
That's
sure
a
they
whole
don't put their
different
hands on
story.
nobody else, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Because like I said, if the roles were reversed, it'd be a different outcome.
Right.
Like
Like that happened a couple years ago, right? If I ain't mistaken.
yeah, Little M, Texas.
Yeah, and little
Yeah.
L. And then those kids, nothing happened to them.
That's like the
Yeah.
little kids that you just sent recently.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking
It
about.
was a flip scenario, two white boys.
Right. Hmm.
And I
Mm,
think one is in there and the other one got out already.
trying to get out. Yeah. Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
one that happened in Little M,
You
Texas.
know what I
Yep.
mean? And this other kid was not even given an option to bail out.
Exactly. Like you
That's
said
crazy.
earlier, it's the system just rigged.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Okay, speaking of the system, let's jump into another topic. I want to hear what you got to say, bro, but I want to hear from C Love first as a woman's point of view.
No.
All right.
So there's this basketball guy, right? I know you guys saw the story. So he paid 1 point, what was it? 1 point something mil up front.
Yeah,
That,
1.8.
See love
that
money.
I
yeah,
wouldn't know.
that equals the $5,000 a month for 18 years. So what's your thoughts on that?
Oh,
Mm,
you go first.
I think that's justifiable. Um, Not her scenario in particular, but I think all men should be forced to pay child support, just like we're forced to birth kids and raise them on
Mm-hmm.
our own.
You right.
I feel like the system should be like this: we get pregnant, we have the baby, we do a DNA test, is yours. You better pay up, buddy. 'Cause you know what I mean? I mean, especially if they're not married, because you just don't ever know what's going to happen after that.
Right.
So, um, I don't know. I feel like just like women are forced to have kids and birth these kids and raise these kids, I feel like men should be just as accountable as women are, because we're not really given a choice when we have our kids. Like the man can leave and we're stuck. Like if we didn't get an abortion, and if we're not, well, nowadays we're not allowed to get an abortion. So it's like we have to have this baby. We have to raise this baby. And like who's to say that if you're not in the right financial place, like you're gonna struggle with this kid, you're gonna struggle being a single parent. I know I got two. And I mean, we don't struggle, we're good, but it's just like I know it's hard, and I feel like it's not fair for the man to have an option to get women pregnant and run off. I feel like, yeah, child support, if you're like 10,000 in arrears, you go to prison or you go to jail, but it's like they don't ever get caught. You know what I mean? Like they never find these people. Like not that I know of. I've never met somebody that's told me, "Oh, I'm behind," and It's like, all right, well, what are you doing out here? So I feel like men should definitely be held responsible. I think that system needs to be looked at a lot better. Um, but the way she did it, she was kind of shady. But I mean, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
He should have been responsible, and he should have protected himself because he has
Correct.
three other kids. So it's like, come on, you should know better by now. You're just over here free. You know what I mean? Free nilly willy up in these women, and it's like that's what you get.
Mm-hmm.
So. But I mean, they did say that he gave her, I think, 1,000 or 10,000 for an abortion, and she ended up keeping the baby. So,
See, trifling.
So
I mean, I
first
don't.
of
In
all,
that scenario, then I kind of
She should have gave it
maybe
back
you
if she wasn't gonna
shouldn't get a
use it.
so
million. But it's like
so
Yeah.
I
men
don't
do,
know.
they do go to jail too. I know a few. So I want to first say
They
that
do pick them
foremost.
up half after how
Yeah.
long? They pick his
No,
butt.
after long, but I ain't a deadbeat. I take care of my child. But I'm telling you, I know people that been in the system that go to jail for child support, and likewise, they'll never see an income tax either. So if they get a return and they're working,
Yeah.
Take it
yeah,
right
that
out.
the government
Mm-hmm.
take that ASAP, unless they got like barber jobs or something where, they say they can cheat on their income. Then yeah, those guys
Yeah.
go to jail. Trust me. But the ones that got regular jobs, the government take their stuff. But secondly, I think that the woman should take some responsibility because you shouldn't be having unprotected sex. So you let him go raw. It's the consequence that you may get pregnant. That's the consequences of having sex. So either one, you got pregnant intentionally, or two, yeah, or two, you trust him enough to say, "Oh, this gonna be my man," not knowing like, he turned out to be a loser, whatever the case. But either way, you chose to have unprotected sex, and that's the consequences of
He's
unprotected
making hot.
sex.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
what's your
agree.
thoughts, bro? You think it was a setup from the gate?
Well, yeah. Don't she got a chat about the baby?
Yeah, yep. That's
Yeah, that's
another
money.
thing. She had the child by a rapper.
Yeah, so that's money grabs to me because for one, if he
Like
gave
she knows what she's doing, right?
exactly,
Obviously, the
so
baby about to catch a federal indictment, so she don't know what she doing. That's gonna be one
Oh.
out of her life,
no, that's money
She better
grabs.
make it pay up front too, shit.
right?
Hmm. So to me, what he did was a smart choice because within those 18 years, like you have people like that who see people who live in a luxury life, and they want to claim, oh, that's not enough. Like
Hmm.
like they pay a lot already, and they be like, oh, that's not enough to take care of me and my family. That's enough to take care of me for the for the entire year. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like what he did was a smart move because
Mhm,
within those 18 years, women likes to go to court and increase that payment for child
Hmm.
support. You know what I'm saying? So paying for the 18 years was a smart move to avoid that from happening. Because trust me,
Yeah, and just as a woman, I feel like she needs to kind of hold off and be like, "Nah, I don't want that 1 million now," because he's about to sign a
see,
big contract.
look
Nah,
on,
I don't
see
care.
scheming.
I
See what I'm talking
don't
about?
care.
she
These
already.
babies need to eat. These babies need private school. These babies need for what he's a basketball player. He got some basketball player genes in him, so I need to put him in a good.
See, trying to live
what pimp,
luxury.
No, don't play
what
with me.
pimp C say? Every dude she messing with got some type of contract. He rapping, he ball playing, he got some type of contract going
Mm,
on. All right. So my next question, speaking of family, away from deadbeats, so we're gonna talk about the people that actually do take care of their family.
mm,
Um, um, let's say now you have aging parents. Your parents took care of you, but now your parents are at an age where their health is declining.
mm,
Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, like all the stuff that plagues everyday life, especially in black and
yeah.
brown
Mm.
communities. How do you guys deal with that? Like, would you say would it be best to like find help like elsewhere, or do you think okay, it's on us to like take care of our family?
Nursing home. No, I'm playing.
You
no, no, for me,
finna get cut
no.
out that real quick.
No, in reality, folks do that for insurance scams, But for me,
Mhm,
now, like this, like for me, like well, I depend. Well, I think that depends on how you're taught or raised as a child. Like for me, I don't trust like certain hospitals and stuff like that because they can do things to kill your family. So to me, it's best to have them to move in with you, and you
Hmm.
take care of them because when you were young, they did the same. So when you're older, you're reverting back to the young age because your body is getting weak and you can't take care of yourself like you are as an infant, right? So
Right.
so it's your children's job, to take care of you to make sure you're doing well and stuff like that. And sometimes you can have like a doctor come in once a week or whatever or daily, to do those checkups. That's how I feel. But some folks don't have that mindset. They're evil. They'll see you to the nursing home or do whatever to get those life insurance policies.
All right. So do you think it's cultural based, like let's
Yeah.
be honest, because most of us as black and browns, you say, okay, I don't have the insurance to
Mm-hmm.
put them in a nursing home, or
You're
I don't
not
have the
right.
insurance to have people to help. So we have to take care of them, but it becomes
Mm-hmm.
like overwhelming. So how do you deal with it, Missy Love?
Well, I've already experienced two of those scenarios. I had an aunt, which is my mom's sister.
Hmm.
She had 12 kids and they put her in a nursing home. She ended up
Dang.
passing away in a nursing home.
Wow.
See what I'm talking
So,
about?
huh?
I'm talking to him. See what
Yeah.
I'm talking about? She had 12, and it ain't none of them.
12 kids, none of them wanted to take her in.
See what I'm
That's
talking about?
crazy.
But it's crazy because when she passed away, they was so quick to
Mhm.
file, get an attorney, and
Yeah.
get
She had
some
the
money off of
life
her. It's so
insurance.
sad.
See, I told you.
But yeah, they done bought a house and everything, and it's like, damn.
Evil. I feel like it's
Y'all
evil.
left my aunt in this nursing home, and my
Mm-hmm.
mom, she's like me. I'm a lot like my mom. She's got a big heart. My mom's close to all of her. Good morning, girl. It's afternoon. She's got a big heart like me. Me, straight off the bat, I'm the youngest out of five, so I got my four oldest siblings. Three of them are in a serious relationship. They live with their partners. They're not really close to my mom. Me and my mom were the ones who like are a lot closer. I have one brother who says that he'll put my mom in a nursing home, but I'm not gonna let that happen. And just me up front, that's a conversation that I have with people that I talk to, that I date. Um, because I'm like, I have a sick mom. Like she has every sickness in the world. She can barely walk. She has epilepsy. She can have a seizure at any given moment. She can't
Mm-hmm.
cook. So like I have to. She's literally like my third child. And I do a lot for her. Even now, I have her. She'll stay with me all week, or she'll stay with me for 3 or 4 days to try to help my dad out because my dad's 12 years older than my mom, so I know
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot for him to take care of my mom too.
Hmm.
Um, so it's not an option. I want my mom to move in with me now,
That's
because
how it's
I
supposed to
mean,
be.
yeah, she likes to be around the grandkids, and I read a lot that when your parents are elderly, children, babies, is what keeps them young and healthy. So I try to keep her around my kids as much as possible, especially my daughter. But yeah, nursing home is not an option, not for my mom. Mm-mm.
Right. Yeah, me either. I don't
Nope.
play that. What about you?
Okay, so you have some parents though, and I'm gonna say mine too. They don't want to leave Louisiana, so
Hmm.
I've been trying to get them to come to Texas, but they feel what they know
Stay
as
home.
home, like they
Yep.
don't want to leave their home. But it's
Mm-hmm.
tough,
Hmm.
like I said, when they're Asian and they're going through the stuff, and you're like, listen, I'm trying to help you, and I also need help with the grandbabies. So I think it'll be a win-win to come to Texas, but they feel like they giving up everything that they worked for. Because you got to
Yeah.
remember, they grew up in an era where like everything was a fight. So to
Right.
own land, to own a house, to own property is
It's
like a
like
big
everything
deal,
to them. My dad's
right?
like, yeah,
Hmm.
my dad's like that. My dad's like, because he owns his house too, and I've told them, you know, let me go get a house, and both of you guys can come move in with me, but he won't. He's like, no. He takes a lot of pride in saying, like, I bought this house for your mom. This is y'all's house. anything happens to any one of y'all, like any of the girls, he always says the girls. He's like, if y'all ever got to come back home, I want y'all to have a house to come back home to, and he won't leave. So my dad's like that. He's very much like that. So I get it. And it is hard. So it's like, I used to like meal prep meals for my
Mhm.
parents and drop it off to them and say, hey, here's your healthy meals for the week and stuff like that. You just got to try to help out as much as you can while you can, so that you don't have any regrets. That's how I see it. I have a nephew that passed away when he was 19. And it's like my theory to that is you got to spend as much time with your family as you can while they're here, so that you're not stuck like mourning for a long time, or you understand it better, Um, so I don't know. I just I'm very family oriented. Like I'm gonna go spend time with my family more than
And
anything.
on a personal note, you're single though, right?
Dang! Why you
No,
always
I'm
trying to put
good
my
Yeah,
status out
because
there?
I'm
yeah,
going somewhere with this. But
Yes,
on a
I'm still
personal note, you're
single.
single, right? So let's
Hmm.
say, but let's say you had a spouse. I of course I know you, so I know the answer. But I'm like I said, I'm going somewhere with this, so I want to
yeah. You
know.
going somewhere?
But
Right?
but your brother's your brother is not single, so he may feel he have a spouse, and the spouse like doesn't want an aging parent in the house. For and I'm not saying that's his situation, but I'm saying
Right.
in general, if you have a spouse and your spouse doesn't want the Asian parent there, how would you guys deal with that?
Well, it's five of us. So, and I do have, it's actually my sister. She's married to an attorney, and they're not talking about taking my parents in.
Mhm.
And it's crazy because my parents help them the most with everything, picking up kids from school, staying there on Friday so they can have happy hour. And so my mom, like for example, she has a doctor appointment this week, and so she was like, "Oh, I need someone to take me and stuff like that." And so me and my other brother were always offering. And so we're just like, well, what about her? Like she
Mhm.
never offers, but you guys are always over there. But they're alike. It just depends because she's closer to my dad opposed to my mom. So my thing would be like, would you let my dad stay there? If my dad ever came
Right.
into like that predicament where he can't take care of himself, would your husband be okay with it? Because I don't know. They're definitely the type who will put your ass in a nursing home. So I don't know. It just depends. And so yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends like how you are. And like I said, it's crazy because my dad's done everything for her. So, but her husband's not the type to be like, oh yeah, he can come and live over here. They finna ship his butt so fast.
No, yeah. You can't be doing that.
What about you,
I
bro? What if
know.
what
Like
if your
and
wifey
how do
was
you
like,
guys
nah?
handle it? How do you
So
guys handle it? You guys are what? You guys are married.
yeah, so
So
I must
like how do
say
you have
this
that conversation?
first. First, mine is supportive. So she wanted my parents to come, but like I said, they don't want to come. But secondly,
Mm-hmm.
if she was not supportive, I'm the judge and the jury in my house. So this
Mm-hmm.
is my parents. So at the end of the day, my parents have to come because they did take care of me. So I'm not gonna say I have the best patience in the world. God's working on me. He ain't through with me yet. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
get it,
he
but
got
I
one more to
still
go.
but I still know that this my parents. So at the end of the day, like I want to take care of them. I want to make sure that
Mm-hmm.
they are. It's just hard
Right.
to find a medium. But my spouse is like she's very supportive. She like yo go
And
check
like
on
and
them.
vice versa with her parents, because her parents
Mhm.
are still together too, right?
Right? Yeah. Same
Yeah. So
thing.
it's like, your parents might need to come down here and we may need to
Right.
take care of your parents too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good that she's open and accepting of that.
Yeah, right.
What
Yeah,
about you, bro?
those same as you, same as you.
Okay.
Like if those scenarios, yeah, we're gonna say yeah, because you should. I feel like a person should have those discussions when they're dating to see the type of person before they get married. Because if I
Hmm.
marry you and then you want some BS like that, you getting out. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like if that's your parents, Do you want to send them somewhere, or do you want to take care of them? You know what I'm saying? So like you can't.
Right.
I
Hmm.
feel like that's evil. But yeah, mine's
Yeah.
supportive too, so we don't have those type of problems. But you know what's funny since you did bring it up? So you know every morning I listen to the radio, right, and they have these topics, right? And there was this dude, his name is Tank, and he called the station because his spouse said that her sister need to get on her feet, so she need to stay with them for about 2 weeks, get on her feet. And then while
Hmm.
he's home, she's walking around the house, half naked, booty shorts on, like that when
Hmm.
nothing in the house.
That's a
So
good
he,
one.
so he approached his wife, and said, "Hey, you can tell your sister to put on some clothes," and she attacked him. She said, "Why are you even looking?" I'm like, "Dude, if that's his house,
Be like,
he
if you
gonna
got
see."
ass cheeks out, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I'm still a man, boo.
yeah. So pretty much, she was telling him that he don't need to look and all like that. I'm like, no, you didn't tell her she need to put some clothes on. Like, common sense. Come on now.
Yeah, respect your relationship.
Right.
All he
So
got
they
to do is
married.
walk around with his boxers and no shirt. She'll get the picture real quick.
Right.
Real quick. No, for
Mm-hmm.
real. I'm a big advocate of doing that too, because it's like some people, especially stubborn or ignorant people, like you'll have a conversation with them and you'll be like, hey, you try to give them some reason and they don't listen. So it's like, all right, let me do it to you. Let's see how you feel.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
really big on that.
some
And they
folks
don't like
lying.
it. 9 times out of
Mm-hmm.
10, they're like, oh, that's what you was talking about. Nah, shit. You know?
Right.
No common sense. That's what I call it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've learned the hard way. I would never have a sibling live with me or anything like that.
No, me neither.
Hell no.
Because I feel like if you go an inch, they go a mile. They're gonna be there forever. Okay, what's your status? You're in your feet. No. Not even a
Right.
friend. Like, no matter how sad you are, you ain't sad with
Or a
me.
best friend. No, for real. Because I've never been the type to live with people. And so, like, oh no, never. And then, like, the one time I'm like, all right, well, let's see. Hell no.
Imagine lesson,
Baby,
yeah.
no
But
way.
some not
Never again. Lesson learned for
not
sure.
in intentionally, right? But sometimes stuff happens where you may have to live with somebody. Like
I
you're
get
not
that part.
intentionally going to stay with someone, but
Baby, I'm gonna live in
you
my
lost a
car. I'm sorry. I'm gonna.
you lost. You
Baby,
know
I
what I
will live
mean?
in a
You lost a
storage
job,
unit.
something like you need
Yeah,
help until you get back
she
on
got
your
too much
feet.
pride.
It's because I've already been there, and it's just like I will not do that again. And I didn't have to. I went trying to
Hmm.
help them out, and it just backfired on me so much.
I get that.
So it's
Yeah.
like hell no. Like even if I need it, I will never ever do that again.
Oh,
But yeah.
I get it. I
Bless
get it.
you.
thank you.
That boy, he ain't snotty.
Nah,
Be like,
Snotty
that
tissue.
that boy stupid, man. Hey, don't listen to that bull he talking about. You.
Gonna start calling
My
you
bad.
snotty.
I couldn't hold it in. I was gonna come out. I gotta.
He be looking for anything.
I know. Wait for his little attack moment, man.
That's the little hateration over there. The hateration society.
And
He
somebody
like,
gonna
let
come
me
to that
get him.
too. They're gonna call me
Yeah.
a
Let me get
plant
him.
hater.
We was doing good too.
Right? We was on the road. We
Look,
almost made
look,
it to the
look.
end with no
I
chaos,
had
man.
to. My spiritual feeling that said get him. So I had to get you.
Creative, man.
But yeah,
Y'all have any more topics for today?
huh? What'd you say?
Y'all got
No,
any
I think
more
we had a lot
topics
of
for
good
today?
topics today.
No, I had one, but I'm gonna save it for next week. It's
Okay.
about the dad in Georgia who left his kids unattended. I'm gonna save it for next week.
All right. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Three Peas in a Pie podcast. We will catch y'all next week. Trinity Team signing off.
Bye, guys.